Let's pivot to housing. There was a question put to the Prime Minister on day one of the election. A guy that's interviewed me actually before. It's called What's News. I forgot his name. Sorry, mate. But he basically so was it James?
I think it's James.
Yeah, well, if people want to find him on Twitter, it's What's News on Twitter, and he ended up asking the Prime Minister a perfectly legitimate question. He said, "Hey, what about the 1.8 million immigrants that are coming to the country? I can't afford a home. What are young people to do?" Guy basically gets almost crash tackled out of the room. A young upcoming journalist can't ask a legitimate question. I mean, I wonder if they would have tackled me if I did it in a suit like this. They'd be like, "Oh, we can't." The suit. If I was to give him one lesson, I'd say, wear a suit next time, mate. I reckon you can get away with more. I mean,
I disagree. I think even if you wear a suit, and if you have a media badge on you and a camera, they'll still kick you out.
Yeah, it worked for me at protests, though. I mean, the police handed me mics when I had a suit on.
That's because they were underpowered, I think.
We won't get into that. Some people think I'm a part of the bikies, which is why they leave me alone. They're like, "Oh, Arab guy in a suit talking politics. He must be a part of the bike." Sorry, we're getting off the.
Sorry, just that book is glowing a lot in this.
Oh, it is it?
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, maybe that way.
Yeah. Well, it's glowing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all right. It's not glowing too much. Yeah, that's fine.
Why is it glowing?
No idea. It's not glowing on my end. If you look
the
at
wisdom is trying to come out of it.
It's not from Dan Andrew's angelic looks.
Yeah. I will send you the devil comes as an angel of light. That's
true. That is true. Is that better?
That's awesome.
That's good. I was going to say, day one, Prime Minister comes out and he's basically gets asked this question by this journalist. A lot of people up and coming, they're in their 20s or in their 30s. Can't afford a home. My family's been here since the first fleet, some of them said to me the other week. And they said, can't afford a home, 1.8 million people coming in. You are probably one of the best people to ask this question to, especially in Victoria. Both on the supply side, I'd love to cover with you, but also on the demand side, what is the situation and what is really making it difficult for homeowners to purchase their first home?
Well, it's certainly the cost. And what makes up those costs? I mean, we hear a lot about affordable housing. I mean, what does that mean when the government sets legislation that every new build needs to have a water tank? In Victoria, we have this bushfire code, which covers nearly every house new build in Victoria, where you have to have double glazed glass. That adds to the cost of items. So just that of course, if you're doing units on a block more than two, on a block of land, you have to have Aboriginal heritage overlay check.
Oh.
To see, now there's a cost to that, to see if there was any, I don't know, pyramids or or anything of besides leftover mussel shells.
Yeah.
Was there anything there that was left?
Yeah.
And that's what I would have done in my next term. I would have called the Aboriginal minister and said, can you show us the artefacts that are left? Because in Victoria, we do not know what these artefacts... I don't know, in Australia, they know what the artefacts are. That apparently means the whole of Australia has to have Aboriginal heritage overlay plus bushfire overlay. So you've got all these policies that are increasing the cost. And then Dan Andrews comes along and decides, I'm going to close the timber industry in Victoria. And you go, wow, okay, so that's building up costs as well, because you've got to ship it from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. The state of Victoria is 26% of it is state or national parks. That's enormous.
26%.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's enormous. And yet they've closed, and the timber industry, it's in that book as well. The timber industry had less than 1% of that area. I think it was 0.04% that they could touch of that 26%.
Right.
And he closed it down.
Is that to do with the blue gums trees, especially out west?
I think it was just to do with his whole policy around his climate and green agenda.
Right. With the blue gums, I was in Western Victoria. I used to date a farm girl from Western Victoria, lovely family. They crazy house. Their house was built out of a boat.
Wow.
It was deconstructed on the shore, and then they carried it. It's a really old heritage home, and it was carried inland, past Mount Gambier, and they built the house literally from the timber on the boat. That's how did you do that? The boat stuff was bowed.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
They got a lot of timber out that way.
They do.
A lot of pine tree growing. They used to have Timber Corp used to be out there more than 10, 15 years ago. Went bust, but all those trees are still there.
What they remarked to me when I was in that area, this is really when, 2018, 2019, I fell in love with Victoria before it went to crap. But basically, I was out there and they were complaining that all these blue gums, they're no longer going to be processed there. They're basically sent to China, then sent back as furniture. Is that?
I think there's a value add thing there that because we're not manufacturing necessarily in Victoria, it's got to go somewhere, just like the coal went somewhere.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And there's other costs associated as well. Dan Andrews, I don't know if you heard that up here, but he made a policy that no new house is allowed to have connection to gas.
Yes, I heard that one. That one's shocking.
Very incredible.
So that's an ongoing cost, not just on the upfront. Yeah. But it's also an ongoing into the future.
Well, that's right,
because
these energies, these resources are used to produce things like steel that used to go into homes and all sorts of things that within your household. So the costs are absolutely ridiculous. Another one that I think is very important that is sometimes overmissed is, so resources are being sucked out by Dan Andrews and Victorian government closing industries, so the timber industry, for example. But they also, because they've got this so-called big build, they're sucking resources of human resources out of the private sector. Because who would work for, I don't know, $80,000 a year in the private sector when they can go and flick signs for $180,000 a year?
Yeah, inflated.
It's inflated. So they're ripping those resources out. So therefore, all these guys and girls over here are getting large money in the public service or in the big build. That demands also, they're going, oh, well, I've got more money now. I can buy that house with not much of an issue. So that's putting pressure on as well.
Yes.
So that's on the, that's what I think's happening. And I think it's a chain of events. It's not. I don't think you can point to one thing and say that it's government's fault or it's this fault. Well, you can probably say it's government's fault. Majority of it will, because they don't have to make the rules that they make and make things so hard. So even at a local level where it takes so long to get planning through, I mean, why is that? It probably happens up here as well. It can take over a year to get planning approval.
This is really interesting because you've raised some things that I didn't even think of with the, again, I didn't even think, I'm from construction and I had the great benefit, experience-wise, to be on the grunt work side of the industry, property development, where we tender for jobs, we'd have to price the whole job before we won it.
Yep.
So I had to literally go through every trade on the whole project, get a price from 3 quotations. So the time that I did it was mid-2019 to mid-2020. And obviously it got worse even after that, but I saw the real change at one of the most radical times to our supply chains. And it's like, yeah, look, we don't make most things here, but we did make some things. And the shortages in a lot of the electricals, like when you're charging $20 in mid-2019 per light fitting and you have like 10,000 light fittings in a building, and then that goes to 50, a lot of these contractors, and this is happening to everything, no wonder we can't build.
Yeah.
So you can't, you got the doubling and tripling of some construction costs, but you get locked into these contracts. It's not inflation proof or supply proof in many ways. There's not enough fat to cover that. And then you get hit with a pandemic, a black swan event. That's why we have 2,800 construction companies have gone under.
Yeah.
In 2023, 2024. Wow. Just 2023, 2024. So the company I worked for, they went under.
That's Australia-wide?
That's Australia-wide. So in Sydney, the company I worked for, they were the slimmest of the slim in terms of medium construction. Yeah. They did about anywhere from 10 units to 300. And the guy was from a construction family. He was the second generation Aussie, Middle Eastern background, does everything by the book, on the cutting edge of innovation, and he went under. And when I saw him go under, knowing his operation that I knew, because I was one of the early ones that got laid off, I was like, oh no, this is not good. So we've got a massive supply problem, as you've touched on with these points. But then going to the immigration problem, New South Wales, Victoria, 40% of our states, respectively, are first-generation Aussie.
Yeah.
We are being, it's an invasion, like it's a flood.
Yeah, it is.
What's your thoughts on that? It's bad.
My thoughts is you need to slow down.
Yeah.
You need to slow down. So I'm fifth generation Australian.
Yeah. Wow, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, it is. So I tell people I'm Indigenous.
Yeah,
when the
absolutely.
vote came around, I'm Indigenous. Why am I catching Jetstar and they give me a welcome to my country? It's like,
Yeah.
just enough. But
And the Sky Bus. You guys get a double whammy.
I
We
didn't
don't,
catch
we, don't,
a-
we don't get it on the trains here, so.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, I think things need to slow down.
Yeah.
I think you need to look after. One thing about President Trump I like is he says he's for America, and the rest of the world's going, "Oh my gosh, look what he's doing." You're going, well, he's the president for America, not for the president for Australia, not the president for England or Ukraine or Russia, or he's the president for Americans, and he thinks this way is good for America.
Yeah.
We need to be looking at what's good for Australia, not just be signing up to all these international Paris Accords and increase immigration. So I would just like to say, slow it down, like dramatically slow it down.
What do you think is a reasonable level?
I don't know. It's really hard.
Some people have said, look back to the 60s, 70s rates, 50 to 100K or so.
It's hard to say because I want to make sure Australia is a compassionate society as well. But I don't think, like John Howard said before, we shouldn't just open our door to anyone. Like, you don't let anyone into, like, this studio.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't let anyone into your home. There's got to be some reasonable thoughts on who you let in. And I think that's what we need to do as well. I'd like to see it not just slowed down, but I would like to see it reduced until we see what's going on. I mean, if we're whinging about housing and cost of living and we can't afford a homes and because there's no homes to even rent, supposedly, then there's one avenue, cut the demand down. Cut the demand down. So that's what I would like to see, because I see governments make that. We see it all time and time again. They make a problem and then they come up with a grand solution like, we're going to build 200,000 homes in 5 years or whatever the ridiculous figure was.
Yeah.
Which will be forgotten because it'll never happen.
Yeah.
So I think the demand of immigration needs to slow down. We just need to look after ourselves all the time, but particularly at this particular time.